Kabila take Junubi, ita Junubi, Anamina Choli, Anamitoposa, Anamididi, Anamindinka, Anamilatuka, Anamin Balonja. Kanita me mati, itami kuku, italisa Junubi, itami mbaka, kakua, italisa Junubi, itami Sunday, itami Nuwe, italisa Junubi, itami Muru, Mundu, italisa Junubi, Anamode, Shuganle Rabuna, Ashanana Junubi, Wodi Shuganle Ala, Ashanita Junubi, Kabila Tai Junubi, Anna Junubi, Kabila Taki Junubi, Ita Junubi, Kabila Tai Junubi, Anna Junubi, Kabila Taki Junubi, Ita Junubi. No matter what the mark that you have, no matter what the language you speak, no matter what the color you are, tell us that Junubi. We are one blood, one people, one family. We are one blood, one people, one family. Give no chance to the devil to take you out from your people. Give no chance to the devil to separate you from your people. I'm proud to be a South Sudanese boy, South Sudanese, South Sudanese boy. Kabila Tai Junubi, Anna Junubi, Kabila Taki Junubi, Ita Junubi, Kabila Tai Junubi, Anna Junubi, Kabila Taki Junubi, Ita Junubi. Anabitala mi rumbegli board before Annalisa Fibet, Anabitala mi na will to reinvent you. Annalisa Fibet, min yele jua, married it and cake. Woman like girl, Annalisa Fibet, Nimule, Mareng, Annalisa Fibet, Annalisa Fibet, Kabila Tai Junubi, Anna Junubi, Kabila Taki Junubi, Ita Junubi, Kabila Tai Junubi, Anna Junubi, Kabila Taki Junubi, Ita Junubi, Dr. Alex Joseph Tuo, Ita Junubi, Emmanuel, Ita Junubi, international record.
They can hear me right now. Thank you guys for showing up, and thank you for coming tonight. I hope you guys can hear me outside there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
If they can hear me.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Good evening. Tonight, I have one of my guests. Yeah, hello. I have one of my guests tonight, a young writer and a South Sudanese. Today, we're going to really talk about a few things together and see how he's going through his journey. He's a writer, and he wrote a journal of a refugee as his journey. He came to this country as a young boy, but now he's a grown man and he's doing so well. And this is his first journal of a refugee. He's just going to be with me right now. Welcome to our show, Mr. Bior.
Oh, hello. Thank you.
And I really appreciate you for coming in tonight. And I hope you guys can hear us outside there, or you guys can hear me.
Yeah. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Mr. Bior. All right. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be with us tonight, and thank you, Bior, for showing up today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about your book and about your journey. It is very exciting, and it's very, amazing how you
Thank
start your
you.
journey and how you wrote your book called a journal of a refugee. Just
Correct.
first before we get into the book itself, just can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is young Bior Aguer?
Yep. Okay, so yes,
Uh,
my name is, yep.
can you guys share our video as well? Get it, as far as you can. Thank you, guys. Yep, go ahead.
All right, okay, thank you, Barack. Yes, so my name is Bior. I'm 22 years old. I'm residing in South Australia, Adelaide. And yeah, I came to Australia when I was 5 years old. I left my parents behind and began my journey here at the age 5. So there's a lot in that, the cultural shift, everything is new. You're trying to find yourself. And what I did is I used education as my tool to get out of my situation from a very young age, and thought about the future rather than living in the now and worrying about what's happening now, but focusing on how the future can pan out. So yeah, so that's my little background, and I'm still in touch with my family back home, and yeah.
It's great. Before even we come to your book, I just want to ask you a couple of questions before that. And you come here very young, very young.
Yes, yeah.
And then you went to school. Can you tell me, like, because we have a lot of young people who just study here from here, say they come young and they went to school. How was the school environments when you come into this country when you were young? You know,
Yeah. Well, yeah, the school environment was the biggest shift that I had to encounter, because we had to really embrace the Australian way, Australian culture. I was in a school where there wasn't much people of color. There wasn't much Africans or other nationalities. So we really tried to fit in. We try our best to fit in, but at the same time, there's always that different cultures at home that you have to try and balance with the school environment. So that one was the hard part, because we have our own cultural norms that won't fit with the cultural scape here in Australia. So once you can sort of differentiate that, then you're able to identify yourself with who you are, and where you stand at the same time. So, well, the culture is the first thing. Overcoming the cultural shift is the first thing for me. I had I was focusing a lot into my studies. Like I was the type of kid that was in the library, or get the work done first and then play. I played basketball throughout high school. Basketball helped me build discipline skills. Sports is a good way to learn life skills and everything. So that's my adolescent years through high school. I was able to. I was like a C grade, B grade student in primary school around the age of 12, and that. And then when I got to year 7, the middle school, I began to get A grades and B grades. Now I got straight A's, and then all of that was able to be done by applying myself and having a schedule. So I would have a study schedule, a sports schedule, and a social life schedule. So yeah, that's what helped me succeed in my academics and get high academics, and then get into now in bachelor's of journalism and professional writing at University of South Australia. So I'll finish up with that next year. So, and that all happened through applying myself.
yeah, that's actually good. But it sometimes it's very difficult. Because what I've
Yeah.
seen, you have achieved a lot. And this is your first journal.
So,
This is your first journal.
yeah, this is my first publication as a writer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my first publication. Yeah, and in saying that, I wrote this collection of poems. I wrote in 2016, actually, right after graduated high school. because I had an opportunity where I wanted to note down my experiences, young experiences here in Australia, and I didn't want to
Yes.
forget that journey, so I had to note it down so that other people could see what kind of journey we as young refugees, or older refugees coming abroad at certain different ages, they can see that this is the life that we try to balance the new life with the old cultures.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. But can you tell me how did you come about this? Because my understanding about journal, journal, you
Mm.
always, yeah. My understanding about journal is very powerful. It's very powerful, like a practice that you can use in a variety of way. And most of the time you use journal as a place or a record or a thought or a stream of consciousness or some narratives you
Yep.
understand, and sometimes you use it to write or to consider the reflection of your own life and your own moment. uh,
Yep.
Tell me, when is the first time you really thought about, I just want to really put down a journal, and probably I'm gonna write a small or a simple journal in the coming,
Okay.
say,
All right.
years of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Well, with journalism, in my years now studying it, we've had some practice and training in like television, radio, print media, and then other professional writing fields which we have to apply during our course. Well, I thought to myself, I'm not really into the media theme of things. Like I don't want to get into media. I want to use my skills to advocate the stories of minorities and also people who have the same story as me, and then also do some advocacy work, like working with certain organizations to better educate on certain issues. And what made me think about this journal was the youth, the people who are my age and people behind me. They really need to see how to identify themselves in a new environment, coming abroad, or even those that are born in this environment need to understand where their roots and history lie, so that they can take that out and then bring out an image that they want for themselves. And then that's why I thought to myself during quarantine, I'm like, let me get a publication out that will share my story, because it was a time. This is a crazy times right now. There's a lot happening. Black Lives Matter. Um, there's a lot of issues that are occurring. So it's good for us as a people, South Sudanese, to try to remember our roots and then identify ourselves with our new environment and how we can move forward.
Yeah, it's actually is a great point. But just to come to your journal, like what pretty much do you remember when you were young? For you, like now you wrote a journal, you have a reflection of your life back in Africa, and the first time you landed in Australia.
Yeah. Well, yes, in the book, I try with my best knowledge. What was that first feeling, being told that you're gonna go to Australia, you're gonna leave your family? Obviously, it was heartbreaking. It was a hard thing. A lot of us went through that. A couple of our generations, the Sudanese generations, went through that. The Lost Boys were the first. They were told that they already had lost their parents, and they were then told that they would be leaving their newfound family and going abroad, new encounters. So with me, I tried with my best knowledge. What was my first initial feeling, and how can I express that in a way that other people can feel it through poetry, and also then with my other the stories that I hear and with the research of my own research, I then apply a narrative where that feeling can be brought out. And yeah, in the book, I speak about how my culture identifies with myself, and then how that also can shape my thought patterns and the way I present myself in the public. And yeah, so that's how I took on things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You pretty came young in this country, and then you went to school, say primary school to high school, and then can I just in a short paragraph just describe me like how was it between you and your parents, for example, not really biological parents, but your
Yeah.
parent, the one you were staying with,
Yeah.
and
So
the
the
nature and the nature of the school and our
yeah.
parent, because sometimes our understanding like about the school, sometimes our kids in high school they struggle, or in primary school a lot of time, Can I describe that nature between the family and the
Yeah.
the mainstream culture in this country, say that, yeah.
Yep. Well, with my family, I was staying with. It was a very welcoming environment. The environment had a balance. We would have strict rules like house rules and social norms that we as Sudanese hold within our households. However, we didn't exclude the Australian way of life as well. Like there will be times where yes, the kids will go out, we'll do birthday parties, we'll embrace the culture. But then again, we were grounded by our cultural principles that were told by us, me and my cousins and all that. So that balance helped me see um, my newfound world and environment. Like I couldn't really. There wasn't a cultural crisis for me. Like I could sort of sense how I need to approach things. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it's very hard,
No, no.
yeah,
Continue.
yeah, it's very hard for a lot of young people really to cope with the situation. Sometimes we don't understand the issue between this gap we have on say between parents and young
Yeah.
people. Yep, yeah,
Yeah,
hello.
in terms of the parenting, like there can be some sort of misunderstanding between the parent and the child when it comes to, let's say, there's a sort of social event that the kid might want to be involved in, but the understanding of that social event tends to cause miscommunication or understanding. And when there's a better
Yes.
understanding in the home, then like you can better like battle the differences of cultural adaptations.
All right, yeah, and tell me what inspired you really to write this. So, what was your inspiration just write this book?
Well, my
Ra-
inspiration was
rather than your journey, like what really inspired you,
to write this
Yeah,
book.
yeah,
Well, I was coming to a point in time in my life where I was like, why don't I create something where you know I want to leave a mark. I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave a understanding for the world to see my world through see the world through my eyes. That's what we all want. We all want through art. Art is a way of expression, and through art, we all want to show our best. And that's what inspired me to want to write a book in a very deep, meaningful way. That's why I chose poetry instead of writing a huge book.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because you get connected emotionally and critically at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the poetry, I've read the book. I will come deep into it later on. Yeah.
Mhm.
So for the poetry, the way you put it or the way you portray your book is
Yeah.
really amazing. I think, say, your generation will understand actually what is your journey, and it's a few of you can talk about their journey and what they experience really back home and
Mm.
what they have experienced here. As in your age, and you got out with this book is really amazing, But how did you come to the point you have to bring this journal together? I can put this journal across generation, because most of the time, a lot of time we hear about lost boys and these books about lost boys, but a young person like you, it's very hard to hear that, like, they come out with that book. So how did you combine your journal, to come across generation?
Yeah. So when I was thinking about my audience, I began by having it just a Sudanese audience, But then I'm like, if I make it the just a Sudanese audience, then just a Sudanese audience would understand the story. I need the whole world and audience to understand the point of view of where we come from. So in that case, I decided to think about the age group, and then I'm like, let's start the age group at 15, and then onwards, right? So then I had to think about the topics I want to put in, right? So obviously the first ones were personal, my personal experiences as a young Sudanese refugee coming here, on the plane, what the plane felt or looked like or smelled like, and then like what it felt like first stepping onto Australia, the first thought. And then I talked about education. I talk about how I took on education and my experiences within my peers, and then I go into, once that narrative is told, I take the reader on a roller coaster of like emotions and thoughts and third person, first person, and make you think critically and emotionally. I then after I speak about the journey to Australia, I speak about dreams. When I speak about dreams, I make the reader think. And I was aiming at the Sudanese or just African people of color, because we are people of color. Our image tends to be getting tarnished, in the media, and just alike, the attitudes to our cultural identity as Black people is misrepresented at many times. So I empower through words how you can empower yourself to know yourself and love yourself and identify yourself for who you want to be. So there's a lot of identity, trying to bridge the gap of identity crisis. So yeah, so that's the part where dreams. How can you bring in your dreams into intuition? And then after that, I speak about love. How does love fit in your journey? What is love? How do we define love? What is love in this new world? Stuff like that. And then onto that. And then I finish off by speaking about what identity means in this new world. Yeah. So that's how I brought it together. And all them issues are very relevant to the first step for you to journey within and achieve your goal or dream. And that's the main message. That's why the first chapter is divine intervention, the journey within. Journey within comes after your divine intervention, which is your intuition bringing it out into the universe. On the second chapter, my conversation with the star. It's called My Conversation with a Star, sorry, because you can't speak with a star, but it's a personification of you are the star, you are the light of your journey. You're the star. So if you're speaking with a star, you're bringing it out into the universe, your dreams, your thoughts. Say you can write your own story, writing in the stars. So you're aiming high, you're not aiming low. Yeah. So that's the concept.
It was great, but what was an early experience when you had, where you had to learn that language that has,
Yeah. English.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, picking up, because I when I was born, I was back in the cattle. I went to the cattle camp for 1 year. I was herding cattle.
So you experienced cattle camp.
Yeah, I experienced cattle camp, and in a Sudanese culture, like that's where you get built up to be a man, it instills in you that warrior's heart, And, the cattle camp, maybe that's why I was able to endure all this journey, from a very young age. Because coming in, like my English was horrible, like I wasn't good at English. I was DC grade student because I couldn't get my head around the linguistics, the literature, all of that. So what I did is I just applied myself. I would put in hours into study, hours, 6 hours a day. It just became natural after that, yeah. And then I still have a lot to learn. Like I've learned that I have so much to learn. Coming into journalism, it's a different ballgame, Like, yeah. It's very different, especially now we're doing professional writing. Like it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually is amazing. It's amazing, like the way you come up and do. Okay,
Mm.
just tell me what is your aim, to
Yeah.
do to your young South Sudanese fellow after you
Yeah.
wrote this book. What do you want to show about this journal?
The main reason for me sharing and bringing out this book, and making a publication, was to educate, mentor, and empower the youth to speak up, give them voices. If anything, if they can understand themselves through this story, my story, then that's the aim of the book. Yeah.
Okay, just trying to, but what do you want to show to your, say, young fellow South Sudanese, through
Well,
that? Yep, yeah.
through this, basically, I'm just trying to show, the sky is the limit. Like, is you only put your own limitations onto yourself. There's a chapter when I speak about dreams. It starts off by saying, "Conquer fear." They say, and the people who may say that are your surrounding people, like family, friends, or like just the society itself. So, like, conquer fear, they say, and then could that be your calling to take on the world like Moses or Joseph? Because then again, going back to the first chapter, divine intervention. There's a divine intervention within everyone, where when you identify it, then that's your calling. So it's about finding your calling and making it happen.
Okay, that is amazing. All right, just to, so beside your book, or beside this journal of the book, and then you do the journalism, and then
Yeah.
how do you see this kind of a future career journalism in in in, in our African,
Oh, okay.
society? Yeah.
Well, the reason why I decided to do journalism in the beginning was to give a voice to our community. I was supposed to be doing law. I was going to do law, advocate through law. But yeah, that's a hard field. And I was like, let me try to create a voice. And that's what I'm doing. I'm only at my beginning stages right now. This was something like I had done, but it was like completed in 2016. But I had decided to bring it out now because COVID had put everything up and down. Study, work, everything was just everywhere. And this was the nearest project, so I pulled that up and then did that. I do have other projects that I'm working on to begin my advocacy through writing.
All right. Just another question is this: what period of your life do you find you write about the most, childhood, teenager, or being young adult?
The time that I was able to recount that.
Yeah, what period of your life do you think? Yeah, do you think you write about the most?
Oh,
From
yeah,
now to back. You know.
yeah. The most notable moment in my life so far was when I spoke about when I was in year five. I had that thought. I was like, "Where's life going?" At that time, it was like exactly. I don't know why I started thinking about that. And then I'm like, to be honest, nobody knows where life goes, but you have that choice to write your path, right? So that's when I thought to myself. From that day, I was just applying myself to better my educate my grades, and then I was
Yes.
also chasing a basketball dream. So I was working, training every day. Yeah, so that taught me a lot about time management and all that. And then also I had my own social life, and balancing all of that needs and wants. So yeah, in year five, that's when that moment kicked in, where it's like, why not start now? Start about thinking about what you want to be, who you want to be, who do you identify yourself as, and that's why every day I will keep my own morals. I wouldn't I'm not a follower. Like, if a group of crowd are doing something I don't agree with, then I'll fall back.
Okay. Yeah. And what do you call in your journal exactly? What do you think did you really left out, or what do you think that you really missed out from this journal you're supposed to be talking
Mm.
about at this time?
Well, the thing is, I made it very brief, like a brief journal. I called it a journal because it's like it's my journal, but it can always be the journal of other people that they can see their journey within my journal as a refugee. That was just a moment in time. I'm a former refugee now. I'm a Syrian citizen, but that experience doesn't leave. Experience of being a former or being or you having your parents refugees.
So do you think just being a refugee is a kind of identity who will never leave you?
What I'm saying is, being a refugee is an experience, and it's something that you can't let identify who you are, who you can be, and who you are here on Earth. Yeah, you redefine the narrative is the main message also in the book. You redefine your own narrative. Writing your own story again. So though the book just touches on identity, the identity of refugees, how we should look at it. That's the main.
And how do you look at the identity of refugee yourself?
Well, I see on the news.
Mm.
I see on the news. I see on like articles. I see on how the West media speaks about refugees and the attitudes of refugees. Just in general, it's not good. And we have to redefine that image. And that's my message with the book. Yeah.
Okay. So don't you think it's just a mass media who just trying to
Yeah, big
across
company, yeah.
people who are already struggling?
Yep. And it comes into the political things, but like
Yep.
at the end of the day, it's people's lives. You know, there's a lot of political reasons, but yeah, we're not gonna get into politics. Yeah.
All right. Okay. What is your most difficult part? Just trying to just bring this book or this journal up. What is the most difficult part you face?
Well, when I was constructing this book, it was a collection of separate poems. Very different, like just different. All different poems I wrote about certain moments in life, right? And then like what I did is I laid them out, and then I categorized them. Categorized them, categorized the stories, edited the story. What umbrella would these different stories fit under? I said, oh, what about calling it the walk of a refugee? And I'm like, it's not really a walk. It's like a journey. So I said, journey of a refugee. And I'm like, yeah, everybody's talked about journeys of refugees. I'm like, why don't I then make it personal, make it a journal of a refugee, right? So that's where the title came in. And then from the title coming in, I then like synchronize the stories to fit the main message of the title. And then and then I was just selective of what main theme fits in this story and what theme fits in that story, and how can they tell my point of view and my experiences as a journeying as a refugee. Yeah. So that was it.
All right. Let me put it up. As we let me if I can put it up. This is yes. This is the book, guys. If you see it just in front of the screen, it's just a little screen. But this is the book. You can find if you can go to Apple Books, you can find it. The Journal of a Refugee. There is a lot of more in it.
Yeah.
It's
And like
it's
on
amazing.
that photo, just to add, that's my mother, and then that's me being held a couple months old, and that was purposely done to because it was a part of my story, and that's what makes it powerful. And like the illustration was done by a South Sudanese artist, and her name is Adao Cholukwan, and she lives she's residing in Perth. So I wanted to bring out her art at the same time. So I got her to illustrate my book.
Yeah, that's actually great illustrations. Very, 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 very great illustration. For our audience, you can see the book. You can go Apple. It's not really a very big book. It's a journal,
Yeah.
and then you can get it there. And just go slide through it. It's about 27 pages, if I recall that, or even a bit
76,
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
76.
Okay,
Yes.
76. Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Yeah.
it's great to get it. This is one of the great
Yeah.
journal I've ever read, and I hope you guys can get it and see the story of young South Sudanese who've been in Australia in a young age and try to cope with everything, his success and how he really brought himself to this point. He worked hard, and this is his first journal, and it's a great thing for our young people really to do. Even when I was in your age, I haven't actually write something like this. It's actually a great move, and it's
Mm.
good. It's good really to keep up with those sort of things. And
Yeah. People can also get hard copies on Amazon, like you get
you
hard
have copies in Amazon, yeah.
yeah, hard copies Amazon, eBay, Barnes and Noble, Booktopia, and Google Books. And then you can get ebooks, on all ebook platforms if you want it electronic.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long or what does the average time takes just to put this together? Or it just depend on how do you really want
Yeah.
to put it out?
So So I had a couple choices. I had a choice to like get a local publisher, or get a company, publishing company. But I just at that time was around COVID crisis. Everything was locked down. There's no offices open, and I thought to myself, this is a bit of too much of an important story. So I just called up a American publisher, and yeah, we went through the processing. Like I had to submit a manuscript. I submitted the manuscript. They reviewed it for 4 weeks, and then like, this is great content. It was good. But before I submitted this manuscript, what I did is I did 3 days of editing. My own editing. So I constructed the book's like structure in under 3 days. But the poetry was written in 2016. So I started like at 11 p.m. and I went to bed at 7 a.m. And then I woke up at 12 p.m. and I went back into it at 2 p.m. and stopped at 11 p.m. And then I woke up in the middle of the night for some reason, and then I finished it off, right? And then took a break, and then I read it. I gave it to different people. They read it, they like it. And then I gave it to people that have PhD and masters and doctorates. They liked it. And I was like, okay,
Kindly.
cool.
Yeah.
And then I submitted it. Once it's submitted, you get a review, and it's like, okay, this is good. It's good for publication. You go through a lot of things, like, okay, after that you go and you're designing. You design with the designers. And then you choose, like, do you want like marketing on your book? Like Amazon and Apple Books, they choose to list you. My publisher doesn't go and get them to do it. Like all these Google Books, depending on your sales, they enlist you on their sites. So it's looking good so far. Lucky that I'm getting it on good platforms, and that was gonna make it popular as time goes. But I published this book out of my own pocket, like, and I was like, it's
Is
gonna be worth the money.
yeah, is a great effort, And in what when you talked about your book, and then so can you tell me what are the obstacles, and say systematic disadvantage such as finding work and sort of those things, or you know
Mm.
as a refugee, what are the disadvantage on that,
Well, when
especially
it
in
comes,
this country? Yeah.
yeah, especially in this country, when it comes to finding work, the biggest problem is a misconception of your identity and your culture, and like your stereotypes and stigmas. Like once I had like sort of dreads, and I had to cut those because I know in my what I'm studying, like, that's not gonna work. I had to cut that. and just sort of misunderstanding, or like let's say our parents would go English, they will go into offices or look for work, and English become an issue, you know, or like yeah,
But the
English.
problem, the, the problem even is not about even the parents, because most of the people who don't really speak English well, probably it's
Yeah.
very hard for them to do a professional work. But the
So it's a
people
stigma.
like you, yeah, the people like you who grow up in this country, they facing some systematic, disadvantage as well. Can you tell me in your experience what sort of things,
Yeah.
especially young people who were growing up here?
Well, young people face a lot of discrimination like daily, you know. Let's say they're walking at the store, they'll be followed by security or something. It doesn't matter if you're not doing something right or doing something right, you know, you get that. But even I get followed, you know, and also, and that's just in the public life. And then in educational life, some teachers may not really see your potential, you know, like there was one time I walked into class, news reporting class, and then the teacher's like, "Are you in the right class?" And then I was like, I didn't respond. I just said, maybe, I don't know, check. And then she checked and was like, "Oh, sorry." She felt embarrassed. I'm like, that's not my problem. You have a stigma, you know? So that's the funny part.
So because because the kind
Yeah,
of student like you, they won't do this type of classes. That's what
yeah, that's the problem.
that's what they thought. Eh?
That's what they thought. And I was like, for me, it's like, even the classmates were just like, that's a bit awkward, you know? But that's just how it is, you know? Those are top things we face.
Okay. What about in terms of work? Because
Mm.
it's very
In
hard.
terms,
It's
yeah.
very hard for adults in this country, especially migrant. To find
In terms of work,
a
you
security
know,
job. Yep.
we
Yeah.
think about either professional work or industry work, you know, it comes up with your resume, you know, like as long as you have a good resume, you have good track work history, you'll be fine, you know, like in terms of employment discrimination, if you have a portfolio, you have a higher chance than not having one, especially with our stigmas on us, you know. If you have a resume, you should be okay. You just gotta trust it sometimes, you know. It's not easy, but you gotta trust it. You gotta be presentable at all times as well. That's one thing. Yeah.
How's your fellow students, so say, teachers receive your journal, this book when it comes out? How did they receive it?
I think they're amazed,
Or
you know.
how did they perceive it?
Well, they were amazed, they were shocked, but they also were a bit not too surprised because they've seen how I like present myself in class and in general school life. They've seen that, so they weren't too surprised. Besides the fact that it's a big achievement, you know. So they were happy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Beside this journal, or beside writing, what do you see is really, say, a good future or a good open door for our young South Sudanese, for them really to prosper well?
Yeah, you know, me coming out and sharing my experiences and journey, like I want to see the reaction of the youth. I want to see what they think about it, or for them to start talking about their journey, you know, and then how can they better themselves. So maybe this will open discussion, you know. So it's about opening discussion amongst the youth in a better way, you know. We have we need to identify ourselves with who we want to be. That's my main thing about it coming out, and it's for the youth, and it's not just for Sudanese youth. It's for anyone that's experienced adversity or anyone that's trying to find themselves.
Okay, that's great point actually. Because why why I say just Sudanese youth, or because it's very tough, or it's very hard, like really for young people to see them,
Hmm.
being motivated by something to do something really hard, like what you have done, or really something very incredible.
Yeah,
Guys, yeah.
I'll tell you
Mm,
one thing. Like even me, you know, I didn't even think I'll graduate high school. I didn't think that because of my situation and what's in front of me. I just thought, am I even gonna finish school? But I ended up graduating with a 8 out of 83. Like this was just like you gotta think positive. Yeah, so it's
Uh,
good.
you're gonna think positive and keep hope and just try to manage because it's amazing. You're not here with your parents, but you really manage a very difficult and very hard time. A lot of people here they may be with their parents, but they still don't do the same. Like what you have
Yeah,
done.
and yeah,
That's why.
that's my message.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my message.
mm. And that's is very encourageable. For you to do this much and to write a journal about your experience back home and even coming here in your age. It is amazing and it is really encouraging to see young South Sudanese actually doing those sort of things or just stepping the game up. You know,
Yeah,
uh, the generation in front of you they're slowing down, but the energy is coming to you guys. So it's so great. It's
mm,
great. Yeah. And once again, guys, if you want to find his book, you can go to Apple and then
and then you
you
can
can go
also
to
just do a
Amazon.
Google
Yeah.
search. You can just do a Google search as well, like this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's on the Google search as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm. It's just up here on the screen, the Journal of a Refugee by Bior. He's a young South Sudanese writer and he's amazing, and he's going to be a future journalist and, you know, going to change our view.
yep.
And this is how we encourage really, young people. It's amazing book. And if you grab it and just read through it, you will find what is the difference and when you see his journey. He's a coming up writer, let me say that.
Yeah, and I
So
encourage I encourage people to sorry, I encourage people to write a review, so I'll know what I should speak on next if I make a writing through poetry again. I'll also be doing publications, articles and stuff, but if I go back to release another poetry book, I'll know what aspects to speak on through the reviews. So it'll be good.
yeah, it's good. It's good. It's very powerful, and it's a great move for you really to do it and to get it done this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what can you tell or what can you say beside your journals? To
Mm.
young South Sudanese really to have the hope for them to keep rolling.
Yeah, what I mainly see, I think there needs to be a change within the community, a positive outlook. Where we have a lot of adversity facing us, but we need to face adversity with a better light and like be more critically and think more critically of how we can fix our situations and be open to discussion and let's not put each other down and like try to work on our issues within our community. Well, I feel like it's an opportunity for the youth to do that. I've never done something like this before. Speak on live, never done it before. I don't do much social interactions at all. But I'm doing this for a better point of view to come into the community. Yeah,
Is a great point. It's a great point, and then we encourage you guys to come up and really interact with the community as well, and keep doing really what you love to do, and
yeah,
spread because this is a connection between intergeneration.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So what is the most difficult things did you find when you're writing your book? The most difficult thing.
The most difficult thing was the word selection. Like it was hard. Let's say I was speaking about
So
identity. Yeah,
yeah, so you have to be technical
technical.
or you
Yeah,
have to measure that according to the volume. Yeah,
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 yeah. Like
yeah. Yes,
when you read the book, the first line will connect to the second line, but it will tell two or three different stories. Every line is telling a story within one story. That's how deep the poetry is. So that's why I was so selective. You know, Like it's like, let's say you have identity, and under identity, there's about 20 different aspects and notions and stories about our situation. Let's say you have one about family, will be broken down, every aspect that has to do with our journey, and then that's brought into one line, and then continues on. Like the title connects with the subtitles, and the subtitles connect with the whole story. You know, like
Okay, yeah. Let let me quote from your journal here. Like
sure, sure.
you said here in in your journal, dying down with an elegant wool. We are here wherever this my first step on Australian soil was harsh. The conquered made me feel uneasy, uncertain of what our new life will offer.
There you go. You know that. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
So yeah, when you step your in that age, when you step to an Australian soil, straight away you have that feeling.
then you left home. Yeah, you know, you're now not at home. You know, like
Yeah,
I said that because that was a realization of a new life, a new environment, and those I try to depict what I may have felt, but maybe I might not remember. But those are moments that stick with you because they're life changing moments. And then I'll try to depict that in a way that will open discussion. You know, will make the reader ask themselves, like, how do they feel coming here? We all have our first initial experiences coming here, and what we thought we were gonna encounter, and what we did encounter is different. You know, fitting in.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because it's amazing. Not that feeling only you have, but it's just when I pick this quote up because it's just something go across generation, across people. When we
Yeah,
come to this country, we felt a difference, but we were uncertain of a future. That's why we're seeing a lot of things right now. A lot of people they try to focus, but things are not going in a way they're supposed to go. The first time we stepped in this country was amazing, and
mm,
you have a mixed feeling,
yeah.
and but how's your future gonna look
Yeah.
like 10 years from now?
Correct. And you know, that statement was in the first chapter, Divine Intervention, the journey within, right? Later on,
Yes.
like I said, the title, the line lineages is called connected. The last chapter, Arrival, we talk about identity. It begins by saying, "My next step is to instill in the hearts and minds of my new neighbors a divine footprint to narrate my journey." So that was the realization at the end of the day that we thought this was a like paradise. We left war, we're coming to paradise, but the fact is, there's an identity crisis in our hands, you know. So we have to, but juggle that within our own internal issues and in our cultural adaptations that we have to look at, you know. So those are the realities that cause all our major issues within the community and like just in personal issues.
Yeah, it's actually it's very powerful, the identity things because now we kind lost in between,
Mm.
we don't know what is going to happen to this generation and we don't know what is going to happen to the next generation. It's a
Yeah,
bit,
it's up
it's a
there.
struggle. Yeah, a struggle for this point. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so now after all this experience, what do you really, what are you looking into for you to spread out your books?
Yeah. At the moment, I'm just pushing my messages across as best as I can, but I'm just waiting for that reaction and that thought and review from our community, see what they think about it. Because I feel like the story is very touching and it's a part of us as well. The refugee story, the refugee narrative, and I want to see how they have grown to identify themselves, you know, through their past experiences. That's the main thing and reason why I did this because I want to know myself to see if I've journeyed within as well. How I've journeyed within, how they've done it, and then we learn from our experiences. And then if someone asks you someday, "Are you Australian?" You then, you know, you say it with a sense of certainty that okay, this is what I identify myself as. And in saying that, in the chapter Arrival, there's a part on Australia Day, someone who just came up. People are just coming up, they're asking me, or not just in general public, they will ask you, "Are you Australian?" You know? And then I replied, "Am I Australian?" is a question I asked myself 17 years now, and I yet to elaborate on an answer. Then I go to answer the person. I cited my roots, uprooting alongside my South Sudanese ID, proud and tall, held together through kinships dating back 16th century. My identity connects with me like my chromosomes themselves. So this is like,
And yeah, and most of the time there is a common question. You've mentioned in your poetry there is a common question always they ask you.
citizenship, yeah.
Yeah, where even regardless of the citizenship, they always ask you where you come from. Do you like
Yeah.
Australia?
Yeah.
Where is your family? So
Yeah,
how do you? Yeah, you spoke about that, but how does it really feel? To reflect on that as a young person who feel
yeah.
his Australia is home.
Yeah, as a young person, you get that maybe like 20 times a week, and then you just think there's ignorance or you don't even know what it is. But I began to say, you know, people will not embrace. They say Australia is a multicultural country, but their attitudes is not multicultural, and that's taught from the different families. Some families are good, some families are not, and then they pick up that attitude. We go to school and we copy it at school. Your hair is like this. Why is your hair like? I touch your hair. All that type of stuff. So we all face it, and it's still being faced by kids that are coming now. And that's an attitude thing, and that's a misunderstanding thing from other cultures. It's happening to all Africans, actually, not Sudanese.
Yeah, definitely. Where you come from, and do you like Australia?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy moment. It's crazy moment. Really.
Yeah.
For all of us to experience that, but we find more courage even because you young guys, you went to high school in this country, and you experience even more. In terms of the mainstream white, and you guys understand some stuff. Sometimes our parents or your parent don't get it to that point, but you still tolerate that because you have, you carry your identity in between, or you carry the both kind of culture when you love your culture and those sort of things. That's where.
Yeah, and in saying that, what kept me to hold my culture is because I studied Dinka studies during high school, in year 10
Wow.
to year 12. Yeah, so that's what made me reconnect with, my language and culture at the same time.
So you got a couple of Denga words around there.
Yeah. I was at a state. We had to write the exam in Dinka, So we really had to the whole year. You just gotta learn words. You gotta learn to write. You gotta learn to speak and construct linguistics. Yeah, I did pretty well. Yeah,
It's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Just we will come to an end soon, as we promise, and just to go more deeper in the reflection of what you have done. What is your experience writing a poetry in this way, and you haven't, on how the reaction people come to you. What is the experience of that?
yeah. Okay. Am I clear? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you
All
very
right.
clear.
Just broke up a little bit. Yeah. So I honestly I wouldn't call myself a poet, but I'm a writer. I have expression and storytelling, but that's also done through poetry. And poetry is a great way, an emotional connection. Like the wider society, they have an emotional connection to our feeling and our experience, then that will get them to understand our point of view more than words. So that was the main part about that, choosing poetry. And yeah, my background in professional writing, I can connect with different sorts of audiences. I've been taught how to do that, and that's what helps my writing as well. You know. So yeah, so that was the choice to do that. You know, I thought I'd become a basketball player. You know, but writing and journalism were the second job. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. When yeah,
Mhm.
without without the vision, there is no dream. I look upon you like this dream of mine.
Yep.
During
You want me to
yep,
explain? Yeah.
hmm?
Continue. Yeah, continue.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. During my time under the star, before we both diminish, I hope to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
What you trying to express here, because it's so deep to the point. You need to follow
Yeah.
poetry from the beginning and going all
All
the
right.
way.
I'll
But
explain.
just yeah.
I'll explain. So that's in the title. My conversation with the stars was me speaking to a star about my thoughts
Yes.
and ideas. Right, bringing my intuition out. Now it begins by me calling the star a lighthouse for my dreams. You know, and the lighthouse guides the ships to shore at night. You know, and that's like bringing you out of the darkness into the light. Now, the ship coming to shore, I pinpoint that in the beginning, divine intervention. I said, I crossed the Atlantic Ocean to Australian shores. Figuratively speaking, it's an Indian Ocean, but like, cause it's like Atlantic Ocean was a slave route, and it's saying that this time I'm not taken by will, but I'm taken by a situation. You know, leaving my home because of a situation. That's why I called it the Atlantic Ocean. So I crossed the Atlantic Ocean to Australian shores, the land of opportunities. The sea divided my realities into two. I was now in the land of opportunities. A switch from chaos, you know? So that's saying your intuition began from leaving the environment of despair and chaos. The lighthouse bringing you out the darkness of dark thoughts into the light of hope, right? So my dream is the star that I'm bringing out. You are a lighthouse for my dreams, the source of light, evoking my sight. For without sight, there's no presence of sunlight. Without a vision, there's no dream. I look onto you like this dream of mine. So during our time under the stars, before we both diminish, I hope to leave a legacy, right? So the legacy begins with your intuition. You're bringing it out and saying, what about if you conquer fear? That's the first statement, you know? It says, conquer fear, they say, could it be my calling? What about if you forget about fear, because that's what stops all of us. Forget about it, and what's next? I forgot about fear and I became an author, you know? And I did what I had to do. So yeah.
Okay. Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Very powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
Conversation between you and the star, and
Yeah.
definitely, it's so deep.
It's like
Once again, eh?
it's like having a
Yeah,
conversation with yourself, right? And
yeah.
you
It's
have to
definitely.
you're a
Yeah,
star. Yeah. So you can be
yeah.
a
It's
star of your show. That's what they call it, right? The star of you're the star of your own show or something like that. Or a guiding star. Or yeah. It's a lot of metaphors in one, you see? Yeah. And I connected it with our journey out of war into Australia, trying to get new hope. Right? There's a part in the beginning. The book begins by saying, "Born in war, Sudan, an ancient land of Kush, conflict stretched on like the sands of time, consuming visions of peace, prosperity, an atmospheric feeling of discouragement was in the air, as well as my people's faces. Disaster at every corner, displacement, dead bodies, dead dreams, swarming fears of hopelessness choked my country. You know, that's the beginning of the book, and that opens up everything.
yeah,
And
definitely open up the journey. Yep.
there's a part where I go like in my camp, everyone looked like their souls had been taken away. Everyone, including us, was on temporary life support. You know,
Yes.
Kakuma
Yeah.
refugee camp, specific of political or religious persecution, I cannot tell. you know. So yeah, it speaks a lot. It just opens discussion.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's amazing experience. Even you touch back home in Kakuma refugee camp. I don't know if you remember much when you were there in Kakuma refugee camp. How the life
I
life
left
was.
around 3, 4, you know, so I doubt it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're not gonna really remember well, like
Just stories.
how tough it is, you know.
Yeah, nah.
Okay. All right, great. All right, to engage our audience a little bit, if you guys have a question for this young man before we leave, please just put it down. We put it up for him here, and it's great actually, for him to come up with his journal. It's a journal of a refugee. I know most of you know about journal, and when you want to write journal or you want to read journal, what do you express in the journal? So Bior, he's a young rising star, say a writer, a journalist, and he's coming out with his journal. So it's a book called Journal of Refugee. If you want to get it, as we said, you can just Google it up, and it's really just out there if you want to get into it. If you don't know how it looks like, I can show you again because we've been showing it here since we start today. Let me get it up there. I don't know. Yes, that's the one. And a journal of a refugee. It's a very great, and it's you can enjoy it in some moment.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just to come to conclusion, what is your really word of encouragement do you want to just say out there for your young people, and what we're expecting for you to do in a coming time, for example, activity through your young people and youth, and
Yeah.
to
All right. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, my main message is like in terms of word of encouragement. We need to lift each other up and move forward in a positive light. I'm a very young person. I'm 22 years old. I'm aware of what my generation is facing, and we have to redefine our reality by coming together. Doesn't matter what ethnicity you are within Sudanese. We have to try to like uplift ourselves and create a better identity for all of us here abroad, and help then come and help those back home, our brothers and sisters back home. So in terms of me, I've got mentoring programs coming up in 2 weeks in Adelaide. So we're gonna
yes.
get the youth engaged in group discussion and group work and all that. See how we can move forward better. Get idea, like we all need a mentor, and it's good for it to come from the community because they face the same issues we face.
And
So,
what type of program, like you want to involve in? What sort of
well,
program,
this
mentoring program in just here?
this type of program, like it would be like once a week, and every week would be a different sort of area of expertise. Like sometimes we may speak about issues that you face in school, or then it could also be a guest person come in and have some words of encouragement, like some artists, local artists, could be just group games as well, stuff like that. I'm trying to also uplift our youth with through education. I do tutoring, tutor English. So basically, it's about trying to be productive, to get more productive, give the younger kids a hand.
Okay, that's actually very amazing, and it is encouraging for you to start off like this. You're doing a great job, and you really putting everything out there, and you're helping in your community as well, and that's what we love to see. We
Yeah.
love to see this type of connection, and probably because I'm going to talk about a lot of young people program. Probably you're going to be my regular guests and talk and share your opinion and your view and how
Yeah.
really you felt about the situation, because the more we find your generation to explain to the same people they actually understand
Mm.
properly, rather than just people who don't get it across. But it's amazing. And you guys, if you want to find again, if you guys want to find a journal, it's called A Journal of Refugee. Author is Bior
Yeah.
Aguer,
Yeah.
Kuir.
I'm,
That's
I'm, I'm
so
gonna,
it's just
I'm
beautiful.
gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna add one more thing about the book. If you can bring it
yeah,
up,
yeah.
yeah, before we finish up.
Mm,
There's a bit of a key aspect in it. In the book, as a baby, I have my fist in the air, right? And underneath my me putting the fist in the air, it says that love is what binds us, blinds us, but keeps us fighting for equality, togetherness. You know, my fist is the size of my heart for a reason. Now, in my journey, like in the book, I touch about how love was a driving force. Passion and love is in
exactly.
what you do and what you stand for. And the fist is the empowerment symbol. Right? Yeah.
Mm,
So that's the main thing there.
okay. Alrighty, is actually good and great. Guys, you guys have a questions for this young gentleman before we move on, or you guys? Okay, there is a bit of encouragement here from some people. You are doing well, young brother. Keep going. We are here for you,
Yep.
and yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
and just again, good job, Birgit. Uh, Go ahead and get this one book across Australia and work on your next Uncle Bure. So yeah, there's a bit of comments here down, and uh, it's great. And again, I'm proud of you. So it's good. Bure, we coming to conclusion, and really I admire you, what you're doing, and how is your
Thank you.
journey, and what you really do as a young person. It's
Yeah.
amazing, what you have done and what you have wrote,
Yeah.
as people may think, but I hope our people going to read this book and get it. It's a
Mm.
journal. It's not really a big book, I think.
Yeah. It's a
You
no
can,
moment in
yeah,
time.
yeah, it's a
I'm,
note,
I'm
it's a
really, I'm
moment.
really hoping that the community can pick out some really key issues from here and try to reflect on how we can move forward.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. We hope, and we will pass this book as much as we can
Yeah.
across our community. And it's easy. This time we own the internet. You can go
Yeah.
Google it up, like what you said before. This is the easiest way you can find that. You can
Yeah.
Google it up and
Yeah.
get it really in an easy way, and it's not
Yeah.
expensive. And it's a
Yeah.
good time. When you have an iBook, it's a good time to sit back and really read about it. And get something out of it, because it's a great journey, and it's a
Mm.
great book. I really like it, and it narrate all the different things within a powerful expression. You know,
Yeah.
and really, if you live it, you will go with the flow of the poetry, and you see the power of poetry, how can really change you, or really can make you think about very good stuff, as
Yeah.
as what we saw, as what we said from the beginning. These are very powerful expressions, but we need to understand, this is, you're talking about reality, you talked about your journey, and this is not a fiction.
Yeah.
It's the reality, and what you have experienced as a young man who really doing very well, let me say that, in Australia, and try to achieve the dream. The last question, and then to come to conclusion, do you think this what we call Australia is a land of dream? Oh,
Well, in answering that question,
yeah,
they call it the land of opportunities, right? The
yeah,
opportunity is always there. There was a political move made by John Howard. The economy wasn't that good, so they needed influx of
it's
people
actually most of us come in a time
around
of
that
John
time,
Howard.
like
Yeah, around that
around
time.
that
Yeah, he
time.
facilitated a lot of. Yeah,
Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of
mm,
refugees, right?
yeah.
But that generation that was facilitated into Australia, handed them opportunities. America calls themselves the land of the free, right? Well, there's refugees there too. Um, they didn't see that generation they brought in. They didn't see that they didn't come and become the working class, or they didn't see them as fitting into society. So they sort of stopped bringing them in. They did it with the Chinese, Vietnamese, type of thing. So when you say opportunities, they say fair go as well. Well, they don't really put that into practice, and they're not really going to put that into practice until people from our community come and speak out for our rights, and then that's when we have a voice. When you have a voice, then you can integrate well, and then we can get opportunities, big opportunities for our communities to make things
But
happen.
but do you think it's really you need time really to find a very powerful elements within the community because it's all about communities like what you said exactly if we see across there is an Asian community there is an Pacific Islands community that but they have powerful
Connect.
element within them that is very
Yeah. And
strong lawyers
yeah,
yep
yeah, with a community, you build yourself within before you come out and be a representation of different communities. We as a Sudanese community, we have a lot of building to do, groundwork, right? So that's
yep
where I'm saying do the groundwork, and then we can come in and present, and then get things going. That's why they call it the land of opportunities. Like you won't be denied your right to something when you speak on it, but they're always gonna sort of like you see how the media is portraying our community, and they're doing that because they think they get away with it. So,
yeah it's
yeah.
amazing yeah it's amazing yeah. All right. I've been. I haven't seen any question. Yes, comes in. I think people are satisfied of what you've said and really what you say. There has just only a bit of encouragement of how you know
Thank you.
keep doing good work and keep doing the best for yourself and the best for your community as well.
Mm.
Yeah. One last thing, any things you want to really air out right now?
Well, yeah. All I can say is thank you for everyone viewing, and thank you, Raj, for having me. I think we've said it all. Like with the book, came with one message and one message of empowerment. And yeah, me, I'm a young man chasing dreams, so I can't speak too much about what I'm doing today because I came to talk about the book and how we need to uplift ourselves. But yeah, I'm working day by day. It's how it is, like how we all are facing our daily things, it's daily life. I'm a regular person. Yeah.
But it's great. It's great. It's really a great step. Very, very powerful and very incredible. You very intelligent young man who actually, following the right track, regardless of how fast you're going or how slow you're going. But definitely you're in the right track. And we encourage you. We love you. But definitely I'll bring you back in a group of panels next time we talk about young
Okay.
people
That'll be
issue,
nice.
and I hope you guys can explain it in a more deep manner to people who don't understand exactly what is
Yeah.
young people are going through.
The
But
best
thank
way
you
to
a lot.
learn, yeah, the best way to learn is through telling stories. So it's good. That would be a good having a panel, and speaking on it, getting different
Yeah.
views, and yeah, it's a good way to learn.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay, all right. I think thank you. We come to an end here. I think yeah, we said we're gonna have 1 hour and a half, but I pull you a little bit. but it's I hope it's okay. And I
Right.
think I think we're gonna end it here. For you guys, once again, before we leave, if you want to get the book, A Journal of a Refugee, you can go just Google it up. This is the easiest way, because it gives you a few options. You want to go to Amazon, you want to go to Apple's, you want to go to any of these, Yeah, it's actually a couple of options just
No,
right there.
and one aspect about the book, like with my publishers, they got it on a global release, so it's in the Asian Amazon, it's in the India, it's in UK, it's in America, and it's in the National Library of Australia as well in Canberra. So
Okay. Yeah.
like city council libraries are able to catalog it in the libraries if it gets popular or whatnot. And it's in Demix too. Demix.
Yeah,
Demix
Demix, yep. Yep,
yeah.
Demix books, yep, yeah. All right. Okay, thank you. And I think we're coming to an end.
Yeah.
And I hope, I wish you the best, with your journey. And we're gonna see each other soon, hopefully, for the coming days. And because you're very active young persons and you do a lot, by doing those sort of things, definitely we're gonna involve with you, and you're gonna come in a regular basis to our show and talk about young people issues.
Happy to.
Yeah. Thank you. But I will say thank you, and you have a great night, and thank you for showing up today and spending this time with us. And I really appreciate you, and keep doing what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody that's watching.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for our audience. And once again, let me advertise this, our audience, because we about really to go off now. If you guys come just right now, this young South Sudanese, Bior, he's a writer, and he wrote a journal. He's a upcoming writer, a journalist, writer, our South Sudanese star, say that. He got a book called A Journal of a Refugee. He came young in this country. And there's a lot of things, a very deep way, expression through the poetry in this journal. You can find it, and you can really go and find inside what is going on. Thank you a lot, and I really appreciate you again for coming here today. And you will have a great night.
Thank you. You guys, you too.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Yep. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I had this young gentleman with me tonight here, Bior. He is one of the young South Sudanese. He's doing a lot of things and doing a lot of activity from South Australia. Talking about his book, if you want to see this book, is called A Journal of a Refugee, written by Bior. It's 5-star right there. If you want to see it, please, you can go to Apple or Google it up. You will find that straight away on the internet. And it's great. He's a young South Sudanese who got this Journal of a Refugee. He came young to this country, and he expressed himself on that journal. And we know what his journal mean. He expressed himself in that journal and try to get everything really as you see. If you go into the book again, you can find that. But thank you guys for just being with us tonight and following up with this young man who had a book called A Journal of a Refugee. I really appreciate you guys for just watching at this time. And thank you. I will go off this time. I will see you next week with other episode. Thank you guys, and I really appreciate you for being with me tonight. I think I will go off now and see you next time with you, Barach. And thank you for watching our show. Share our page as well and like it at the same time. If you want to find our video, you can find it instantly, please follow our page, Talk with Barach. And from me, Barach, and the whole team, bye for now. Have a good night.